What's up everybody, it's Sky and welcome to Skyrim. Today I'm going to be trying to beat Skyrim, fists only on the hardest difficulty. Now, before we get into the video, I am going to state some of the rules. Rule number 1 is no followers unless the story demands it, such as a quest that gives you Delphine as a follower, Ezburn, or even Parthenax. But characters like Lydia or any other followers are strictly prohibited. And that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is we are not allowing any factions. No factions such as Thieves Guild, Companions, Dawn Guard, or anything, because that's a quick way to get money and that makes it easier to level up in ways, or to gain XP items, I guess. And if you want, I'm going to link the full-length video, okay? There are going to be some cuts in it, and because I did not play the game all the way through in one sitting, I played it in days, so there are going to be some cuts, but other than that, it's going to be completely fine because I know there are skeptics, and I understand. So I'm just giving you the full thing. It's going to be in my second channel in the description. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. See y'all in a second. So to start off, I picked a Khajiit and named him General Fister. And then after that, I changed the difficulty to Legendary. Then I RKO'd this Imperial, and then gave him a good fisting. When you first enter Helgen Keep, it's best to join the Stormcloaks because one of the Imperials that you kill has heavy armor, and there's a perk that allows you to do more fist damage with heavy armor. And if you join the Imperials, you cannot get heavy armor until after Helgen Keep. And me and Rayloff escaped Helgen Keep. We spoke to the Jarl, and before we went to Bleak Falls Barrow, I wanted to level up my character, so I did the most fast possible way to do so by pickpocketing. Pickpocketing is probably one of the fastest ways to level up. So to do this, we just quick save, pickpocket the most valuable items, and if we fail, we just reload the quick save. And then I went to go get the gloves of the pugilist, met these two fellows, and got completely destroyed by them. Then I swore I'd get my revenge. Got the gloves of the pugilist, and then we went to Bleak Falls Barrow, and I encountered the giant Frostbite spider. And my first plan was to charge in and fist it to death, and that did not go according to plan. And second time I came up with a new strategy was just to bait out its attacks, and he has different types of attacks. He has heavy attacks, normal attacks, and his special attacks, which are a lunge and a web shot. The lunge would kill you instantly if you did not heal yourself. So I had to be very careful, and it took me a while, but I finally killed it. And then I finally made it to the end of the dungeon, and just like before, this time we have to bait out the Draugr's attacks, which is a lot easier than baiting out the giant Frostbite spider. And this time it's actually a little easier because some enemies, you can go to a specific spot and the enemies cannot reach you with their attacks or come close to you. And you just have to bait out their attacks and then strike them while they're in their cooldown. Pretty simple, just like I did with this guy right here. And as you can see, that's pretty much what I did for the entire fight. And it worked. Another thing I found at the dungeon was this little friend I found. Played with him for a little bit and I bounced him around. And I threw him. I caught him midair. I felt really cool. Then I met with Farengar. And then I pickpocketed from the Jarl. Then the Jarl told me to kill a dragon. I went up into his grill and said, "What do you mean? I don't even know you." Then I pickpocketed Ulfred and he had the audacity to tell me this.
You're a bad sneak. You're not creeping up on anybody like that.
Then we killed the first dragon, which was a piece of cake, and then I went to Markarth to get the Lover Standing Stone, which was found in around this area in Markarth. Just keep going this way and you'll find it. After that, I met with the Jarl and he told me to go talk to some gray dudes in the mountains. Then on my way to meeting the gray dudes, I met this drug dealer on the way, and knowing myself, I bought all the drugs. Then I proceeded to beat him to death for trying to sell drugs in the middle of who knows where. Then I yelled at some old people. Then the old people told me to yell at some ghosts. And then I went up to Wolfgar to see if yelling at the ghosts would impress him, but sadly it did not. Then I did the whirlwind sprint shout to see if that would impress Wolfgar, but again, he was not impressed. But before we go to Usengrov, I leveled up my pickpocketing and did a few other things. And one of the things we needed to do was level up my heavy armor, so I thought, oh, I'll just go to Jorrvaskr and level up my heavy armor, because one of the characters helps you train in heavy armor. But I quickly found out that you need to join the companions, which goes against the challenge rules. So I looked up on Google to see if I could find any heavy armor trainers, but sadly all the heavy armor trainers either require me to do certain quests or are in factions. So then I had to go to plan B, which was to level up heavy armor in a more difficult way by going to a random low-level dungeon and letting them beat the shit out of me, healing, and just repeat over and over and over. Well, after doing that for a little bit, I left the dungeon and I encountered a hired thug, and they do so much damage, like so much in legendary difficulty. And I kept dying over and over and over. And finally, I managed to kill him, and I was so happy. I fisted the shit out of this guy and teabagged him a little bit. And this is how I leveled up my heavy armor. I would just let him beat me, heal, and then go back and just repeat. So the next thing I needed to do was level up my enchanting so I could get a better fortify and arm enchantment on my heavy armor gloves. And also another thing I needed to do was level up my smithing skill. And to do that, the fastest way I think is to just craft a whole bunch of nails or arrows. Now, I didn't want to chop wood, so I just made a whole bunch of nails. And I also made some dwarven armor. Then I enchanted my dwarven armor a little bit, and then it was off to Ustengrov. And I got Delphine's letter, and then I met Delphine. And Delphine wanted to talk about my car's extended warranty. Then we beat the second dragon, and it was off to the Thalmor embassy for us. Now for this part, I was getting a little nervous because I thought this was going to be really difficult. Now don't get me wrong, it was pretty difficult. I did die a few times, but ultimately, by the end of it, me and Malborn slayed the last Thalmor. Then I tried to 1v1 this frost troll. Bad idea on legendary difficulty. You guys remember these two fellas? Well, guess what? I'm here for revenge. Now, this time around, I completely destroyed these two. Then I had a little victory dance. Then for further celebration, I beat this deaf lady. Then we got Ezburn back safely. I played with this bottle. Then I cut my hand. And then I got some blades armor. Things were looking good. I was upgrading my blades armor. And life was turning around for the better. Then I proceeded to yell at Parthenax, and I got the Elder Scroll. Then we were preparing for our first fight with Alduin, which is probably the hardest fight in the game. Now, before we got into the fight, I had an idea to use Dragon Rend on Parthenax and Alduin, because when Parthenax and Alduin are both on the ground, they kind of distract each other. And then you can sneak up from behind and fist Alduin right up his anus. And then this was the entire strategy for the fight, and it actually managed to work. As you can see in this fight, that's pretty much what my strategy was. And it was going really well. I thought nothing could go wrong, and guess what? It didn't. Now, I just needed to keep them both on the ground the entire time, because if one of them is in the air, it's really hard to get them both on the ground. But in the end, we actually managed to defeat him, and I was really surprised at this. It took quite a while. Then it was time to listen to the boring Civil War dispute. After that, Delphine and Ezburn told me to kill Parthur next, and I slapped them both for even considering that. Now it's time to battle Otoning. So a little tip for Otoning is right when you call him, you can skip 2 hours and then use Dragon Rend on him and lead him to the trap, and then it's easy capture. Then we made it to the beginning and the end of Skyrim Temple, and before I went out to go to the portal of Sovngarde, I needed to make a plan. I was thinking of how I could kill all the monsters. But then, the best idea in the world came to mind, and I said, fuck it, I'll strip naked and make a mad dash to the fucking end, and that's exactly what I did. And with that, we're finally in Sovngarde. Now, I was terrified of fighting Sun, and I have a right to be. Look how much damage he does in one hit. But just like the Draugr Lord in Bleak Falls Barrow, we just get into a spot where Sun can't get to us and attack him during his cooldown. And the good thing about fighting Sun is we only need to get him to half health. And that's not too hard as long as we don't get hit, but every time we do get hit, we just heal it off and, back off. And that's pretty much exactly what we did for the fight, and after a little bit, we finally got him to half health, and prepared for our last fight with Alduin, and to beat Skyrim on the hardest difficulty with our fists. And with that, we're now ready to fight Alduin. Now, this fight, compared to the first Alduin battle, is way too easy, because you get the other Nord heroes, and it just makes the fight so easy. Like, they completely distract Alduin while you just fist him right up the ass. But yeah, this Alduin fight is way easier than the first. It is a complete pushover compared to the first. And we completely annihilated the living hell out of this guy. And yeah, with that, we finally defeat Alduin and beat Skyrim with our fists only on the hardest difficulty. And also, as you can see right here, we're still on the hardest difficulty. And like I said at the start of this video, you can find the full gameplay on a channel in the description. And yeah, after I defeated Alduin, I did the most logical thing to do by stripping naked, dropping all my items, except one sweet roll, to serve as my victory dinner. And yeah, if you guys like this video, consider subscribing, leave a thumbs up, comment. I hope y'all enjoyed, and see y'all in the next one. Bye for now.